hop on here real quick and do a review of the Luzz glider. I really like this paddle and I've seen a few reviews for it, but not a ton. And I know that whenever I'm personally interested in a paddle, I want to see as many takes on it as possible, hear as many people's opinions as I can find. I am a 3.5 rec player, so take that into consideration. I know most reviewers are like 4.0 plus, 4.0 to 5.0 typically. And so if you're around my skill level, I think that this would be a great review for you. If you're a higher skill level, this probably won't be too interesting to you. Pickleball Dad is another creator that I really like to watch. He's around 3.5, so I really take value in hearing his opinion, because whenever you hear, 4.0 to 4.5, their takes and opinions on a paddle may work well for them, but it may not translate down to your skill level. So typically I am a more control and all court paddle user. I always thought that as a lower level player, I wouldn't be able to control the power and pop of a power paddle, but I've really been enjoying this paddle. I came from the FC Plus. That was my paddle before this one. I actually bought the glider for a friend to try. They were using a Pro 4 and they wanted to try something else. They weren't a big fan of it. They were actually looking for something that was a little softer so they could work on their control game. So I gave it a try and I really enjoyed it. I was surprised how good my touch shots and my control game was with this paddle. It's a very lightweight hybrid paddle. The swing weight is around 112 with the twist weight around 6.4. So those are great numbers. They leave a lot of room for customization and it has a pretty generous sweet spot. I don't find myself having any issues unless I hit the very edge of the paddle. I have a little bit of weight right here. I have about 6 inches of 0.5 gram per inch tape, as well as about 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the corners here, just to kind of help with those corner shots. It doesn't need a ton of help with general stability, but the weight here helps a little bit. And then, like I said, on the corners, it kind of just helps whenever the ball hits a little closer to the edge, helps those dinks get over. The handle is a 5.3 inch handle, but I find it perfectly comfortable for two-handed backhands. I will say the taper is a little more narrow than some paddles. For instance, I'm not a big fan of the J2 shape. They have the same length handle, but the edge guard is a little more bulky right above the handle. And for my two-handed backhand, it feels too wide for it to be comfortable. So despite having the same length handle, I have this one wrapped a little bit higher, but both handles end right here. But it's a very, very subtle difference. But the J2K just has a slightly broader edge guard at the base. You can really feel the ball off the paddle, and it has a very stiff and hollow response. Not nearly as stiff and hollow as some other paddles like the Boomstick and the Loco. I've heard some reviewers say it has a little bit softer, more plush feeling than some of the stiffest paddles. It's definitely more stiff and hollow than something like the J2 FC Plus or other all-court paddles, or the Coral, I imagine. So it's not the very, very top end of power and pop and hollow and stiff, but I think it's like a step down. I actually think that the feel is very similar to the J6 CR actually. I can go back and forth between these two paddles and they feel very similar. I think that the glider might be a touch more stiff and the J6 CR might be a touch more hollow. But as far as playability, I think the J6 has a slightly bigger sweet spot, makes drops and resets a little bit easier just because there's a touch more consistency. But overall, I've been really, really happy with this paddle. I've always heard people say they like to have ball feedback, and I never really understood that, but now I really get it. And I think I'm able to adjust my dinks ever so slightly, and it makes a big difference. With something that's more muted and dense like the FC Plus, whether I give a dink 10, 20, or 30%, each of those shots feel more or less the same. But with the glider, with that more crisp feedback, whenever I do give a dink 10%, it feels different than a dink at 20%. And the ball also feels a little bit different across the face. I always thought I wouldn't like feedback on a paddle. I assumed I just liked a muted and dense response. But once I tried this paddle, especially after playing for a few sessions and getting a feel for it, I feel like I have way better touch on the ball. Who is this paddle for? I think that this is a fantastic paddle if you want a hybrid Gen 3 paddle. I think it's a far better deal and even better paddle objectively than the Luzz Pro 4 and Pro 5. I also think it's a great first power paddle. If you're used to all court and control paddles, and you're thinking about trying something that's in the power category, or you're wanting to try something that is more stiff and hollow than what you're used to, I think this is a great first step. You're not breaking the bank, you're not spending $200 or $300. It's also not the absolute top end of power and pop. I think it's a good stepping stone. I think that if you went from something that was very control oriented to something like a boomstick, you wouldn't do too well. It would take a long time to adjust, but I think kind of gradually making your way up is the way to go. If you're still learning the control aspect of pickleball, you're still learning drops, you're struggling keeping dinks low, then this may not be the paddle for you yet. If your kitchen game is getting more consistent, you're hitting drops, resets, working on different types of dinks, and you're getting more comfortable at the kitchen line, then I think this might be a great first step into the power paddle category. Overall, for a sub $100, it's a fantastic paddle. I know it doesn't have a durable grit like a lot of paddles coming out now, but like I said, I think this could be someone's main, but if you're looking for something with durable grit, I'm personally waiting to see what else comes out with durable grit because there's very limited options right now. So if you're looking for a new paddle in the meantime, I think this is a great paddle to try. I think that this paddle really helped me learn more of what I'm looking for in a paddle. I didn't know that I liked, power paddles that were stiff and hollow, but now I know after trying this paddle. And like I said, it's not a huge investment, less than $100. And I believe Luzz has a really good return policy. I don't have a discount code, but there are a lot of content creators that do. Before I mentioned Pickleball Dad, he's great. I believe he has a code. I think it's PBD. And then of course there's all the other ones, John Q, Pickleball Effect, Pickleball Studio. Take your pick. But yeah, that should be about it. If you have any questions in the comments or if I left anything out, please let me know. But other than that, thank you so much for watching.